Hi, hello, how do you do? I'm Soroosh and I make music. And in this video, I want to show you something really cool that you can do in Reaper. It's great for sound design, voiceover editing, or anything really. Let's get into the video. I have this recording here. Preset. The plosive on that P is pretty bad. Preset. That's because I forgot to use a pop filter when I was recording that video. You know, I thought the grill on my SM58 would be enough because it has a foam pad inside it. But boy, was I wrong. It was not enough. Preset. We still have a nasty plosive. So how do we fix it? Let's take a look at the processing I did. We have a gate cutting out some of the background noise. Then removing some resonant frequencies with this EQ. Expansion. More EQ. De-esser. Compression, doing around 4 dB of gain reduction. Pultic EQ, just to kind of warm up the sound a little bit. Then more compression, and it was kind of losing some mids, so I added some mid-range. So with all that processing, the plosive is still there, and it's probably even worse with all the compression we added. Preset. So what do? Well, after the gate, I've added some other stuff. So we've got 2 gain plugins here, and we've sandwiched a dynamic EQ between them. All these gain plugins are doing are just giving me more headroom. We're cutting 12 dB and we're boosting 12 dB. Let's take a look at what's happening in here. Preset. So it's cutting out some 168 Hertz. That's where the plosives would happen. Preset. And we're also kind of shaving off the low end as well. Preset. And it's also cutting out some mid-range and some S's. Preset. So we tried taming these plosives with the dynamic EQ, but that's still not enough. So what do? Well, I started thinking the sounds that produce the most plosives, like P, T, K, and F, all have some kind of high frequency content. Is there a way that we can have a plugin that turns down low frequencies when we have a lot of high frequencies? And the issue was, I never found one. But don't worry, because Reaper's advanced routing comes in clutch in this case. All we need to do is isolate the high frequencies with an EQ and use that as the sidechain of another plugin. And I was thinking if there is a name for this process, and of course there is. It's a sidechain filter. Your favorite analog compressor probably has one already. But in this case, we want a very specific sidechain filter, and we want it to trigger not just any plugin, but a dynamic EQ. So let's set that up. So the first thing we're going to do is add an EQ here. And let's create that filter. So we're going to cut out all the highs, just creating a very steep filter. And a high pass filter as well. Because we don't want all the high frequencies. We just want where you have, your S's and T's. And now we have our sidechain filter. Let's exaggerate that even more, actually. You'll see why. We're going to boost this one with a narrow Q. That should be good. So it sounds terrible, but we're going to use this to trigger the sidechain. So we're going to set this up. From the plugin before, we're going to send to an aux, which in here would be 3 and 4. Our main output is 1 and 2, and our sidechain is 3 and 4. And we need to make sure that this EQ is only receiving 3 and 4. And not in its sidechain, but in its main input. And also, we want to turn off the main stereo output of this because we don't want to hear the sound of this EQ. So we're going to send the output of this also to 3 and 4. And now we can add our dynamic EQ. I'm going to use M dynamic EQ for mellow production. You can use any dynamic EQ as long as it has a sidechain input. So now here, we're going to make sure it receives from only 1 and 2 in its main input. And the sidechain is only from 3 and 4, which is coming out of the EQ. And the output of this, we don't need to send to 3 and 4 anymore. We can turn those off. So now we're going to put this around 200. Let's start there. Preset. Right now, it's not doing what we want. So we want to actually trigger the sidechain on this plugin. So let's go here, activate the sidechain. Okay, so I had made a small mistake there. The 3 and 4 input should go to sidechain 1, 2, not sidechain 3 and 4. That's kind of tricky with the pin connector, but it's not too bad once you get your head around it. And now it should be working. Preset, preset, preset. We're starting to see some ducking here. Preset. Let's go a bit lower on the frequency.
One eternity later.
So we've tweaked the settings a little bit, and now let's take a listen. Preset. The plosive is still there, you know, doing all this. Nothing beats using a pop filter or windscreen, but it's way better than we started. Preset. The plosive is way more under control, and now it's at least usable. So yeah, this is how you make a sidechain filter in Reaper. And you can use this technique for a lot of things. I think it would be really useful for sound design, mixing, you know, voiceover editing like I did here, or anything really. And if you use a different DAW that you think can do this, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.